Hello, and welcome to another fabulous day in the art room. All right, today's lesson is lesson number 3, week 3, for my 3rd grade friends. Right, so we've been working around the elements of art poster because, as I said, I've been looking through our new standards of learning for Virginia for standards of learning for visual arts. And I've been looking through the new ones they gave us, and part of it is that this palette and that you can work through it. So, all right, we've done line and texture, all right, with our first video. Our second video, we did form and value, all right. Now, our third one is going to be able to cover color, shape, and space, okay? And let me show you an example of the project that we will be making today, all right? Today, I'm going to show you how to make this positive and negative space picture right here, all right? What's cool about it is I like that I've made it so that I can actually like play. It's a little interactive, so I can play and do like this with it and kind of change it a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to do that, right? But it's a good example. Like I said, these first 3 projects are just for us to really practice and be able to do the elements of art so that we can actually use the elements of art in our future artwork so that you know what it is. So to demonstrate what positive and negative space is, all right, I made this work of art, which, like I said, if I lay it flat, you can kind of see I've created this half a heart here out of paper and then stapled the rest of the paper on this half to create this kind of heart, all right, using positive and negative space. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about positive and negative space, as we see on our art palette, okay, all right, so the positive space would be this part of the car here, okay, that is the focus. The negative space would be what's in the background, right? So to show you that a little better, all right, on here, so the paper is divided in half, okay? I've gone ahead and divided the paper in half, right? On this half, the positive space on this half is this white space, that's the this part of the heart, okay, is the positive space. It's the positive space because that's the side that we're seeing the object on, okay? So that's like the object that's in focus is this heart. Like in this picture, the heart is the object, okay? So the positive space would be this half of the heart that's right here. The negative space would be the black construction paper that is around it. Okay, on this half of the paper, the positive space is the black construction paper, that's the half of the heart, and the negative space is the white paper that's around it. All right, so that's kind of to show you that how positive and negative space works. So positive space is the focus of the artwork. Right here is the heart, so this would be the positive space. The negative space is all of the background around it. All right, so positive space is this half of the heart, negative space is the space around it, all right? And sometimes we can make an object stand out like this half, where this half is the positive space is the black construction paper because everything around it is filled in. So check this out. So on this palette, this side, the negative space side, right, this car right here, okay, is the focus. We can tell it's the focus because it's not, even though it's not colored in, it's still the positive space because the negative space is all of the space around it. It's all that space that's around it, okay? So that is positive and negative space. So the focus object in the artwork is the positive space, and then the negative space is that kind of around it look right there. Okay, so that's positive and negative space. I've also talked a little bit, so shape, we're going to be using shape, and you guys have been using shape, just like with line. I'm not going to go too much into that, because you've been using shapes to draw and build things for years now. You've done a lot, even with me in the art room, using shapes to like build different things. We know that drawings are really just, any drawing is really just a series of shapes that you like put together. Like this is one of my drawings, that's just shapes that I put together to build a paintbrush. Right? So shape is how we build things, and we know, of course, that there are geometric shapes, which are like the triangle, circle, rectangle, square, diamond, heart. Those are geometric shapes. And then there's organic shapes, which are more like blobs, right? And like examples of that would be like clouds are organic shapes, leaves are organic shapes. So things that are in nature are usually organic shapes. Puddles are organic shapes. Organic shapes are those kind of blobs shapes. Geometric shapes are more like the ones you learn in school, like the square and the rectangle and the triangle. All right, so the shape part of this is, like I said, I cut out a heart. I'm going to show you how to do different ones, but go ahead and make sure that you've got a piece of paper, and make sure you've got a pencil. Make sure you've got, if you have construction paper that's colorful, I would recommend that. We're also going to go over color today, so in a little bit, that's going to happen later, but in a little bit we'll talk about the color wheel and all that goodness, and adding color to this at the end. Okay, so go ahead, find a piece of paper. A white piece of paper would be preferable, and then like I said, just find any color construction paper that you have, but find a piece of construction paper as well, and then come back. All right, so go ahead and do that. Okay, do you have your white paper, your colorful construction paper? All right, you're also going to need some scissors. So if you haven't already gotten scissors, go and get some scissors. Pause the video if you need to do that. All right, I'm going to use this paper, and this is how we're going to roll. Okay, so pause the video if you still need some time to catch up. I'm going to use a white colored pencil to draw on it. If you have a different color, like if you have a lighter colored piece of construction paper, you can use whatever to draw on it. But since I'm using a black piece of paper, I'm going to use a white colored pencil so I can see it better when I'm doing this. But take your construction paper and fold it in half. I'm using a big paper. It doesn't matter if your construction paper is smaller. It's the same concept. Everything I'm going to show you is the same concept. You would adjust the materials, supplies with whatever you got, okay? Because it'll work. All right, so take your construction paper and fold it in half. So I'm going to match the corners, okay? So I match the corners and fold this paper in half. Yes, I got it. I folded the paper in half. Okay, so it opens up, boop, like a book. Look at that, opens up. All right, fold in my corners. All right, first I'm going to show you the heart. I'm going to take my white colored pencil, and I'm going to draw on one half of it. I'm going to make this large. That's the key to the success, is making it fill the entire paper. I drew kind of a raindrop. Check that out. So it kind of looks like a raindrop, and I'm going to hold it here, so if you need to pause the video and look at that while you're drawing it, you can do that. But I just drew on one half of my paper this kind of raindrop. I started, like, sometimes I switch it up if I want to start at the bottom or the top, but you pick, and then you just start, let's say we start at the top, I would just go around and down. All right, so you're thinking about in your mind, and this is the easiest way to do this, for the shape, whatever shape you pick, all right, whatever shape you picked for this, if you cut it in half, what would that half look like? And that's kind of what you're trying to draw right now. All right, so I drew that, and then, oh no, I need to get my scissors, hang on. There they are. All right, so got my scissors now. All right, so I get my scissors, all right, and take my paper. I'm gonna go ahead and follow that line, cut carefully on the line. Remember, whenever you're using scissors, make sure you're being careful, be responsible with them. Don't forget, I always like to turn the paper while I'm doing this. It's helpful. Kind of turn the paper while you're going. All right, so I cut out that shape that I had, and then now when I open it up, it's a heart. Ooh, look at that. And I'm going to keep this. Normally, when you do this, things like this, normally you're used to like throwing away the trash, right? This time we actually want to keep this side, because remember, this side is going to be that part right here. Okay, so I've got that. That's the heart. Right? Let's say you don't want to do a heart. Maybe you want to do a circle, for instance. I'm only going to show you 2 more of these, but honestly, you can do any shape you want out of a folded piece of paper. It's up to you. I'm just going to show you 2 more, but any shape will do. It's up to you. So fold that paper in half again. So it's half. So obviously, you're not doing this 3 times. I'm only doing this 3 times to kind of show different people different shapes they could do. You just need the one. So if you already did the heart, perfect, you got it. All right, you can fast forward through this little bit. All right, so I've got my folded up piece of construction paper. I draw, let's say I want to do a circle. I would think about, what does half of a circle look like? So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. Boop. Half of a circle. Woo. This might actually end up looking more ovalish, but that's okay. That'll still look cool. It's still a shape and it works. All right, so I got that. Woo. Yeah, like I said, a little bit more of an oval, right? But you can do that too. That's another option. Remember to keep the other half of it. Let's say that I fold my paper. Let's say I want more like a box. This will probably come out like a rectangle, but go ahead and draw. If I drew this, like half of a box, and then cut out that half of a box, look at that. Look at that. I think I'm going to use this one for my example. Okay, so I got that. I got my shape that I cut out of my construction paper, and I've got the other half, the other part of the construction paper that I'm going to need to use. Next, you take the white paper that you've got, and if you can, try to have those be the same size papers, because that'll make it easier. But if you need to cut down, maybe the white paper is too big, you can cut that down to however it'll fit. To do this with the construction paper. But this is what you're going to do. You're going to take the white paper, and on one side, like, I can kind of see how this half of the construction paper that I cut out, how this kind of fits on half of the paper. You see that? And then I actually, and I'm going to use this again, but if you have glue and you want to use glue, you can use it. If not, I had a stapler nearby, so I'm going to use my stapler for this to keep things simple. But if you need to glue it down, you can always like put a little glue on one side and then glue it down that way if you have glue. If you have a stapler, please, with family supervision, please be careful with the stapler. But you can staple it on. Like I said, if you have like a glue stick or a bottle glue, you can just put glue on one side of this. I'd put glue all on this side, and then I would just glue it down. All right, but I'm going to use the stapler for this. So I put this down, and I'm actually going to open it up just so that I know I don't want to staple this part down, like this other half of the paper, because I want this free for me to be able to like play around with. So I'm going to go ahead and staple this half. I have to do this on the table. I apologize. Gravity works against me again. All right, I'm going to staple it down. I'll show it to you. Staple it down to one side, to one half of the paper. All right, one more. There we go. All right, so I've just stapled one half of this to the white paper. This half is still free. Look at that. Boop. It's a frame. Boop. Now it's not. All right, so I've stapled it, so this part is still kind of free-flowing, but I've stapled one side to the paper, okay? I've stapled one side to the paper. This next one, so I still have this half, where I cut this out, that kind of opens up into a box. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to line this up so that this half is on this side, just like that. And then again, the same concept where I don't want to, if I stapled down both sides, then I wouldn't be able to like move the piece to kind of play with. So I want to make sure I'm only stapling down the side that's actually touching the white paper directly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Like I said, if you have glue and you want to use that, use the glue. If not, use your stapler for sure. Totally fine to use whatever you've got. That's what happened earlier is I was like, oh, I don't have my glue right now. And I was like, but I do have this stapler. I'm going to use what I got because that's the theme of the art room this year. Use what you got. All right, so now I've just stapled this down, and then look, this opens up. Oops, so I can still like fill that kind of space right there, but it also closes. Oops, so I can see my example of positive and negative space. So right now, the positive space on this half of the artwork would be right here. The negative space is all this around it. The positive space on this half of the paper is this part right here, and the negative space on this side of the paper is around here. All right, so we've just done that. Now it's time to talk about color. Let's talk about color. Hello, I am the professor of color. I am definitely not the same teacher that you were just talking to a minute ago. Oh, my mustache came right off. Oh, he's fine. He's fine. Your mustache doesn't detach? No? Okay. All right. Welcome back. I heard from your teacher, the great Mrs. O'Neill, I heard that you are learning about color. Yes? Yes, I am the professor of color. Hello. All right. Today we need to take a look at color. We're going to take a look at the color wheel. Yes, look at that. Look at the color wheel. It's so beautiful. All right. So, as you can see, my color wheel has a triangle. All right, right here, a big triangle in the middle. All right. This big triangle shows you the primary colors, which will be red, yellow, and blue. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about different colors and how artists use colors to make their art really pop and stand out, and how they choose colors to kind of put together. All right, so warm colors, as you remember from a while back, warm colors are red, orange, and yellow. All right, and then the cool colors, all right, are green, blue, and purple. All right, so it's kind of easy to remember, because if you look at the warm colors, all right, look like they would be warm. They're even, if you think about it, the colors of fire, that kind of red, orange, yellow can help you remember those are the warm colors. Cool colors, of course, are the green, blue, and purple. All right, look a little more icy, look a little cooler, right? Okay, so using colors together. A lot of artists will try to group warm and cool colors, but other artists will just kind of go for it and kind of mix in colors and choose something that's kind of opposite on the wheel. So what that means is, on this wheel, all right, some artists like to choose a complementary color, which would be for orange. That would be, if we went directly across, that would be blue. If we were at purple, we would go directly across, that would be yellow. Right? If we were at green, that would be directly across, that would be red. All right? So sometimes they pair complementary colors. All right? All colors, as you know from painting, can be mixed together to make other colors. All right? So you can mix different colors together, make different colors. All right? So as you know, and you learned that when you were little, you learned, of course, that if you mixed up something like red and yellow, you get orange. If you mixed up something like red and blue, you get purple. If you mixed up blue and yellow, you'd get green, and then all those in-between colors are really the ratio of how much of one color you use with another color to mix together and make a new color. All right, so that's a little bit about the color wheel, all right, from Professor Color. I hear that your fantastic art teacher has the rest of your project that you're going to do together. We're going to choose this part of the project. You need to be choosing colors from the wheel that you feel like go together. Remember to use what you've got. I hear your art teacher will be using paint, but you'll use whatever you have at home. Yes? Okay, thank you for listening to me today. It was nice to meet you. I'm out of here. Professor Color out. Wow, what a special treat for us to get a visit from Professor Colors. All right, he's the professor of the color wheel. All right, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding that color. Remember, just use what you've got. So whatever you've got at home, use that. I'm going to use paint for this one. As you can see on my project example, I chose to really like lean into like warm and cool colors. So inside the heart in this positive space here, I did warm colors, and then in the negative space out here to create this, I did cool colors. So it's up to you. I want you to just be looking at whatever colors you have, and I want you to put together in this space and in that space, I want you to put together colors that work together. So in this space, I was like, I want the warm colors in here because I think they work really well together. On this outside, I want to put cool colors because I think they really work together. But that's up to you. You could use complementary colors together. You could do any colors from the wheel. I just want you kind of experimenting with like looking at the wheel and saying, oh, wait, which colors do I want to use? If you need to look at the wheel again, rewind the video to the portion with Professor Colors, the professor of the color wheel, and pause it and just kind of look at the poster there. All right, so let's get started. All right, I've got my paint. I'm going to go ahead. This time around, I think I'll do the complementary colors instead. So I'm going to go ahead and on one side, I'm going to do, so I've got my little box here. And like I said, I love that I can kind of, this was really fun where I was like, oh, why don't I make it so I can actually like play around with it and kind of turn it into something a little more interactive where you can kind of play around with it. I think it's more fun that way. All right. So I'm going to start with purple. I'm going to put purple out here. I can just do whatever designs I want with that. I did a mixture on my example one of lines, and then I did kind of like little paint splatter dots, you know. It's a little easier for me to do that on a flat surface, so I apologize. I won't fully be able to like kind of fling my paint on it on my whiteboard, but you get the idea. You could kind of like fling a little bit of paint on it to make those little splotches. Yeah. Right? So I'm going to put some purple, right? And then if I want, if you remember from working with Professor Colors, right, if you remember the complementary color, right, to the purple, it would be the yellow. It's the end of the day. I'm already forgetting the names of the colors. Oh my goodness. You're like, Mrs. O'Neill, you need a nap. All right, so I'm going to take some yellow, add some yellow to that purple. It's beautiful. So there are so many different ways that you can combine colors to make it something that works for you, something that you feel looks right, you know. It's really up to the artist to kind of explore and find what works. There we go. So I might do that on one side, and then on the other side, so I've got this space, I need to fill that space in, and then this space right here I need to fill in. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a different set of complementary colors. On this one, I think I'm going to do blue. Do some blue on one side, and then I'll do some orange, right, to get some of that complementary colors go in there. Right? But it's up to you. Like I said, use whatever you've got. If you need to use markers, colored pencils, crayons, whatever you've got at home, right? Also, it's a thing where, you know, if you want to use, like, this would be something good too. If you only have markers, but you do have a paintbrush and a cup of water, you could put the markers down first and then get the paintbrush wet and then add, like, put water on top of the marker and you can turn it into paint. That's another idea for how you could do that. But basically, this is what we're making, and you know, I hope you had a good time making this with me, where you can kind of see your example of positive and negative space. Remember, on this half, this would be the positive space here, the rest is the negative space. This half right here, this is the positive space, this is the negative space out here, right? And then, you know, work a little bit with your colors and work a little bit with your shapes. If this is one of the assignments, one of the 3 assignments, remember you have to turn in, if you go to the elementary school where the tiger is the mascot, you need to turn in 3 assignments by October 15th. Turning in assignments is just as easy as you make it with me on a YouTube video, so pick 3 of these YouTube videos for your grade level. To do, make the art, take a picture of the art, and then send it to my email address, which you can find on your school's webpage. So if you go to your school's homepage, you click on staff, you find my name, you click on that, it'll have my email address on there. Or if you want to use Remind, you can send it through Remind as well. So some ways to kind of turn in projects, but this is what we're making today. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the elements of art, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.